Hi guys, my name is Nick Broughton and I am a Randomfish. I am also a bit of a massive Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Yes, I'm wearing a Pokemon hat and I'm talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. Shut up. I was a massive fan of the anime. I was not a massive fan of the trading card game. I mean, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't as into it as other people. In fact, I didn't even know about the competitive playing thing in the Western world for the longest time. I assumed it was more of a thing in Japan than it was over here. But apparently I was wrong. There were multiple, and there still are today, constant championships across the world for your Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. And through all of this, I've learnt a few things, and I've picked up a few ideas. I've never been a competitive player of the game, but doesn't mean I haven't picked up a whole bunch of cards along the way. Now, I am hoping to one day expand my collection and actually find other cards and do some great stuff with them. Not that I don't do a whole lot of that now, but at the same time I'm not as addicted to the idea of playing the game as I ever was. I'm looking to expand the collection, not play the game. But that's just me. But thinking of this, I've been looking over YouTube and I've seen a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Based people talking on the channels, not just about the anime, but to talk about the show and talk about the trading card game as well. And I figured since this whole coronavirus thing that's been spreading around the world and people haven't been as, well, a lot of people haven't really been leaving their homes, self-isolating and all that sort of thing. And while I'm not self-isolating myself, I did decide that it's possibly a good idea to give you guys something to think about and something random to watch. So today on Randomfish, I'm going to take a break from reviewing movies and I'm going to talk to you guys about my Yu-Gi-Oh! Card collection. Yes, it's about to get seriously geeky up in here. And when I say geeky, I mean a different kind of geeky to what I'm used to and I'm sure what you're used to from me. Unless you know me really well, in which case this is all part of the course. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about with you guys is the very basic premise of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. Each player starts out with 8,000 life points. These life points, then you have to dwindle them down to 0 in order to win a proverbial match. Through this, you have to summon monsters, activate spell cards and trap cards in order to be the first one to bring your opponent's life points down to 0. And I'm going to show you some of the ones that I've got today. Some of the ones I actually now have in my collection are not... You cannot play them in competitive matches. You cannot... They are banned from competitive play. Which I have to say is one of the most hilarious things of my entire life. I think I know the ones that are banned, so I will point them out when I bring them up. But at the same time, I'm not 100%. I'm not going to point out all of them. I'm only going to point out a few of my favourites, and a lot of the ones that I have not a massively vast collection, but I also don't have them all trapped away in a binder, so I have to sort of show them to you one by one as a mentality. So this might be a long video. I don't particularly care, mainly because, as far as I'm concerned, I enjoy doing this sort of thing, so it's fun for me. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys. These are the backs of the cards. As you can tell, this is the design. You've also got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Insignia down there at the bottom, along with the trading card. Now, first thing I want to talk to you guys about is a type of card called Divine Beast. More specifically, the Egyptian God cards. Now, if you've ever watched the anime in any way, shape or form, you will know about the Egyptian gods. These were highly sought after from the minute they appeared on screen, and when they were officially released into the world, they had very specific tells on the back of them, so that even if you had them and you were playing just a friendly match against a friend, they would know you had an Egyptian god because it was coloured on the back. In fact, for years, I thought they were fakes because they were coloured on the back, because I don't think I overly paid that much attention to it when it was released anyway. But the versions I currently possess, 2 out of 3 of them, I currently possess ones that can actually be played in competitive dueling. There are a lot of problems to these cards, very specifically. Something I failed to mention during my brief summary of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that when you're playing certain monsters, monsters have different levels. 1, 2, 3, and 4 can be summoned. Those levels of monsters can be summoned right away to the field with no issue. However, from level 5 to level 6, you have to sacrifice a monster. So a level 4 or a level 3 monster, you have to sacrifice them, or a level 2 or a level 1 monster, I should say. You can sacrifice one of them, and you can summon a level 5 or level 6 monster. From level 7 to level 8, you have to sacrifice 2 monsters. Level 10, the cards that I'm currently holding in my hand, you have to sacrifice 3 in order to summon them. And that's where a lot of people immediately had issues, because you have to sacrifice 3 monsters to summon both of these cards. Now, I really do enjoy these cards purely. I don't always enjoy them because of their effectiveness in terms of a duel. I love them for their artwork. I mean, that is just gorgeous. Those designs are just absolutely flipping gorgeous. For those of you who don't know the effects of these cards, allow me to read to you from Slife of the Sky Dragon. This card gains 1000 attack and defense for each card in your hand. And what this basically means is that the more cards you have in your hand when you're holding your hand of cards, it designates the attack points. So if you're holding 4,000 points and 4,000 defense. The other effect on Slife of the Sky Dragon is that if a monster on your opponent's side is summoned to the field, special or normal summoned, in face-up attack position, then this other effect activates where Slifer will destroy 2,000 attack points from that monster. Now, that is a pretty cool effect. However, it doesn't, to me anyway, it doesn't overly justify Slifer's summoning. It just doesn't. While I enjoy Slife of the Sky Dragon, I am very painfully aware of its requirements for summoning. I also know that, this kind of a card is just... for example, one of the other things that can be done here is that when you're summoning it, the effect cannot be negated. You can't negate summoning the monster, which obviously you can do for some cards. When it's normal summoned, cards and effects cannot be activated. And if you special summon it to the field from the graveyard, i.e. using Call of the Haunted maybe, it has to go right back to the graveyard. You can't keep it on the field for a long time. Obelisk the Tormentor, on the other hand, has a slightly more interesting one. This card cannot be targeted by spells, traps, or card effects. And you contribute 2 extra monsters on the field. And if you contribute 2 monsters, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. This card cannot declare an attack the turn this effect is activated. So essentially what's said here is that Obelisk the Tormentor is a card that if you have 2 extra monsters on either side of him, you can sacrifice them and destroy your entire opponent's field in a single blast. However, he cannot attack at this point. Slifer's attack points were determined by the amount of cards you hold in your hand. Obelisk has 4,000. Right there. If you look at it, 4,000 points. 4,000 on this thing. While I understand that Slife of the Sky Dragon's attack points can be stronger to Obelisks, it does not guarantee it. It does not guarantee Slifer's strength will continue. Obelisk has established attack points. Also, the biggest difference between these two, as far as I've always been concerned, is that Obelisk cannot be destroyed by spells or traps or monster effects. And that's where this comes from for me. Obelisk is not more reliable, but Obelisk has much more of a diverse skill set, as it were, as a card, beyond Slifer. So that's sort of where these two lie. Now, Winged Dragon of Ra is a completely different kettle of fish. That is a card that has a whole bunch of effects that have changed since the original anime version was released. And Winged Dragon of Ra is the most disappointing, I guess, of all the changes. Obelisk is the least. I love having Obelisk. I would keep him in my deck a hell of a lot if I went to an actual dueling championship or something. I don't know if I would ever win with him, but at the same time, I would love to just have him in my deck purely for just the laugh of the whole thing. It'd be a lot more fun for me. So I'm putting those up there for the minute. I want to talk about the other two ones I have here. Deep Eyes White Dragon, which is another version of a Blue Eyes monster, which I don't overly know a lot about because I've never truly... I don't truly know if I really want this card. Reading the effects here, however, if you have a dragon-type monster in your graveyard, and if a Blue Eyes White Dragon is destroyed on the field, which I have as well, which I'll show you in a moment, I can special summon this card from my hand, and if I do, I can inflict 600 points of damage to my opponent for each dragon-type monster with different names in my graveyard. So essentially, if I have a dragon-based deck and my Blue Eyes is destroyed, I can summon Blue Eyes Deep Dragon to the field and be able to just inflict damage for every dragon-type monster in my graveyard. So even if I had a whole bunch of them in there, it would be devastating to my opponent. It's pretty cool, but again, Blue Eyes is a cool card to have on the field. This card, I feel like it's not overkill per se, it just doesn't feel as epic. Its attack points, also, if you look there, are 0. In terms of its actual effects, if this card is normal or special summon, target one dragon-type monster in your graveyard, and this card's attack becomes equal to that monster's. If this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So even if this card is destroyed by an effect, I can destroy all of the monsters. But again, very specific. Not something I don't know if I would truly keep on having. And the last level 10 one I have is Cyber El Tanin. Apparently it must be special summon from my hand by banishing all light monsters. Now I don't know what it is about this card, but this card just doesn't make me think that this is a card I would really want. You know, it becomes the attack of the number of monsters banished for its special summon. Yeah, I have to destroy all light machine monsters by removing them from play, so from my graveyard and from my deck. And all of those monsters that I've eliminated, their attack points, their number times 500 is this thing's attack points. And again, too complicated, too weird, too random. Now, like I said before, I can't go through all of my cards, so I am going to go through some of my favourites, and I'm fairly sure there's ones that other people enjoy as well. So I'm just going to go into it. The next level down that I possess is, of course, level 8 monsters. Or, should I say, my level 8 monsters. In this combination, I have a variety, up to and including 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, 3,000 points each, contributing 2 monsters to summon it. Pretty badass. I have the likes of Ancient Gear Dragon, right here. One of the funniest ever that I discovered anyway, Rabbit Dragon. A Rabbit Dragon. I kind of want this in my deck purely for that hilarity. The fact that this is a rabbit and a dragon combined, very funny. If I ever made a comedic deck, I'd use this. There's a multitude of various ones. There's one here called Thestalos the Mega Monarch, which I recognised from one of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. This is its design right here. You know. Felground Dragon, Battleguard King. I have a lot of dragons. For me though, the one that sort of really overloads it is Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's always going to be Blue Eyes White Dragon for me. Next up down on the list, I have my level 7 dragons, my level 7 monsters, all of which are a lot. I have a lot less of them, as you can tell. My favourites being Red Eyes Black Dragon, which I've always loved because I liked Joey in the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Yes, I liked Joey, shut up. So pretty cool, pretty badass. Evil Hero Malicious Edge, which I'm sorry, I wish they weren't called. This is the thing, guys, those of you who are designing these cards, Evil Hero? No. Anti-hero. You should have gone for Anti-hero. Would have been a lot cooler, and it would have worked a lot better when you were saying it when you're summoning them. A lot more cool. Odd Eyes Dragon, which is another one. Again, from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Very interesting. Apparently, if I destroy an opponent's monster by battle and I send it to the graveyard, I can inflict damage half to the original attack point of that monster. So essentially, if I weakened a Blue Eyes White Dragon and destroyed it using Odd Eyes Dragon, then 1500 life points would be lost by my opponent in one shot. Not a lot, given that the 8,000 they normally start with, but it's not a bad thing. It's not bad at all. And lastly, I have here Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos. Again, if you look at all that text, that's a lot of text. I mean, that is a lot of text. I'm not reading all of that. There's no way. There's ones that I enjoy reading, and there's ones that I sit there being a bit like, you're too complicated for me. I'm not going to bother playing you ever. I'll keep you as like, because I got you from a deck, from a booster pack or whatever, but there's no way in hell. Next up on this, I have my level 6 monsters right here. A water dragon, a tail dragon, I should say. Magical swordsman, Dodo warrior, Frostosaurus, a frozen dinosaur, pretty cool. And then we have the likes of Kaiser Glider and Tiger Dragon. These are just weird. Tiger Dragon is kind of cool because apparently if I sacrifice 2 dragon type monsters to summon this thing, then apparently I can target and destroy 2 face down spell or trap cards from my opponent's side, which is kind of cool. But again, higher levels require a lot of sacrifices, and I don't know if I really want to continue having that kind of amount of ability in my deck. So moving on to the number 5, one of my all-time favourites, Cyber Dragon. This card can be immediately summoned to the field if you don't have any monsters. Heck yes. All these other ones are not particularly great. They're all very limited in their ability. They're all very weird, and they don't have very good effects. The only one I would say that has a slightly cool effect is Marie the Fallen one, which increases my life points by 200 for every standby phase. Pretty cool as a concept. Not quite sure if I really want to be doing that with a level 5 monster unless I specifically have a deck catered around that kind of concept. Again, yeah, I would almost say see the first half of Season 5 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters series to find that out. That is where a strategy using that is used, and it's very cool. On to the level 4s, the ones I have the most of. Holy cannolis. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I am going to go through a few that are my favourite. For example, I have to say one of my favourite cards outside of Blue Eyes, Alexandrite Dragon. It's a dragon with diamonds in its wings, or jewels in its wings. It's very cool, and I like it. It's a normal monster, there's no effect, so it's kind of lame in that respect, but I don't care. Assault Wyvern is another one of my favourites, because if I inflict damage to my opponent, I can summon any dragon-type monster I want, as long as it's in my hand. So as long as I have Blue Eyes in my hand, and I play this card, and I can destroy something and cause damage, I'm down. I lose Assault Wyvern, but at least I would gain Blue Eyes, which would be very cool to have. I have a multitude of various ones here, as you can see. Red Eyes Wyvern. I have Red Eyes Wyvern for some reason. This card, again, has the same effect almost as Assault Wyvern, except it's for Red Eyes. Not for, specifically for Red Eyes Black Dragon, not for any dragon type. So Red Eyes is this Red Eyes Wyvern card is kind of a niche card. I don't know if I'd really stick with it unless I had a Red Eyes centric deck. And even then, I don't know if I really would want to have a Red Eyes centric deck. I love Red Eyes, but I don't know if I quite want to have a centric deck around him because of his attack points more than anything else. A lot of these cards are all very cool and all very nice, and they all have random effects. My last favourite is Darkblade, which is a warrior type. I just like the design. I like the way he looks. He's very cool and he's very badass. So I'm going to put those down. Level 3, again, this is all very much with that. It's got the same sort of mentality. I will say that one of my favourite things, Kyberman is one of my favourites. Kaiba because you can immediately summon a Blue Eyes from your hand by sacrificing him. Yes, that card just flew out of my hands, shut up. And Junk Synchron, which is a tuna monster, which I am now going to discuss with you. Tuna monsters, you can sacrifice them or tune them with other monsters to accumulate into a specific level. Through that, you can then Synchro Summon. Synchro cards. The only two I possess. I don't possess any more. Some point in the future, maybe I will own more. Same thing with Xyz monsters. I don't have any with me, so I can't really talk about them to you guys. But Stardust Dragon is one of my favorites because of its abilities. Just the fact that, you can tribute this card to negate the activation of a spell card, trap card, or effect monster's effect. That destroys a card on the field and destroy that particular card, the card that's being activated. If you negate an effect in this way, you can special summon this card from your graveyard during the end phase. So essentially, you can pretty much use this to destroy a card's effects. So a massive card that would wipe out all your monsters and destroy your life points or whatever. And you would then use that effect to destroy this by destroying this card. And then during the end of the turn, you would get this card back again. I believe it's during your end phase, not during your opponent's end phase. So if your opponent's the one calling it, then you've got to wait your entire turn before it comes back. But it's still pretty cool to have. Because to be honest, if you destroyed the card that has the effect, the immediate threat is kind of gone, really. So that's where a lot of that comes from. The only other synchro monster I have is Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth, which doesn't have any effect, which is sad, because I liked Gaia the Fierce Knight, especially in the original show. I loved Gaia the Fierce Knight, he was cool, but unfortunately just don't have him. He just doesn't have any effect, which is kind of sad, but what can you do? The other cards I have are levels 2 and 1. Again, they don't hold much in the way of that. There's a couple of them that can't be destroyed in battle by monsters with a certain amount of attack points, like Sonic Chick here. For example, you almost have just a whole bunch of stuff in here. There's one that's a card called Gyroid, which is a level 3 somewhere, that cannot be destroyed in battle once a turn. It can't be destroyed in battle. Although if your opponent has more than one monster on the field, you're pretty screwed, but that's neither here nor there. The other ones I wanted to discuss, again, very briefly before I end this video, because I am aware that I'm going on a lot. There are the certain cards I possess in this deck of mine, or in this collection of mine anyway, that are forbidden. Magic cards and trap cards are kind of the basis for a lot of this. The monster cards are very cool to have, but without magic or without spell or trap cards, you are basically stuffed. These cards have a variety of effects. Trap cards doing everything from negating attacks, to repelling attacks, to destroying the monster that gives off the attack, to stopping spell cards and destroying them, not declaring attacks, destroying spell or trap cards, stopping monsters from attacking and decreasing their attack points by a certain amount, bringing monsters back, like Call of the Haunted, like I mentioned before with Cypher the Sky Dragon, and bringing out extra monsters once you have a monster that dies or gets destroyed in battle. Spell cards kind of have the same mentality, along with sending magic and spell and trap cards back to the hand, destroying one, destroying monsters in defense mode, sending your entire hand to the graveyard and then having to redraw an entirely new hand. Switching defense and attack points around. That was a very cool card to when it was. I know it was released very early on in the run, but I still enjoy it. Monster Reborn is one of the most overly used yet still incredibly disappointing cards, because you can't really use Monster Reborn that much anymore. I believe it's one of the banned cards. If it's not, then that's fine, but its replacement was Monster Reincarnation, which just meant destroy a monster, get back a monster. I don't quite understand the mentality of that, but still it is a pretty cool card to have. But I wanted to talk about these 3 cards in particular. These 3 are on the banned list. I checked this out on the Koami website, for competitive play, and these cards are banned because their effects are so outrageous. Heavy Storm destroys all spell and trap cards on the field. I love the idea of this card, and I hate the fact that it's banned because I loved having this in my deck. But obviously I can't have it in my deck if I ever play with anyone, be it a friendly game or whatever, because I just don't like playing banned cards in general anyway. So I'm not gonna I can't use this card anymore. So if any of you out there want to play a friendly game with me, either over video chat or in real life, these are the cards that I can't have. I can't have Heavy Storm. I can't have Graceful Charity, which lets me draw 3 cards and then get rid of 2, which I have to say is a bit of a dumb card based off of that alone, but it's still got banned, so what do I know? And then my favourite, Pot of Greed, the card that lets you draw 2 cards. I saw this so much in the animes. More specifically, I saw it more in bloody GX. I don't think I ever saw it in the original Duel Monsters show, which is incredibly sad, but what can you do? That's how it's done. So, listen, this has been a fun little random fish video for you. I decided I want to branch out a little bit. I don't want to keep on doing reviews forever. I do want to do a review of something though very soon. You might get 2 videos this week. It might be this one as well as a review. But I mean, I'm hoping to have something a bit more interesting ready for you soon. But you know what? Like this comment, like this video if you did. Please comment below some of your favourite cards, maybe if you've played them. Please share this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And as always, keep going and keep being happy. And of course, given this whole thing, stay safe, guys. Randomfish out.